Imagine this, you've made the big decision to move to Vancouver, a city that practically sells itself as paradise. Snow-capped mountains, ocean views, a vibrant city life. It's everything that you have dreamed of. But here's the kicker. The moment you settle in, reality hits. And behind the picture-perfect scenery and Instagram-worthy lifestyle, there are challenges that no one really warns you about. Challenges that can drain your wallet, test your patience, and maybe even make you second guess your move. And the worst part is that most people don't realize what they're walking into until it's too late. And as a real estate agent, my job isn't just to show you the good stuff, it's also to give you the full picture. The good, the bad, and sometimes even the questionable parts of a city. Well, why is that? Well, because I want you to make the most informed decision possible. Because when you decide to move, I want you to feel confident. I want you to have your eyes wide open with no surprises and no buyer's remorse. And so in this video, I'm going to be pulling back the curtain. I'm going to show you what it's all about, what it's really like living in Vancouver. From the crazy cost of living to the frustrating day-to-day challenges that we face here, we're going to cover it all. And by the end of the video, you're going to know whether Vancouver is the right place for you or if you should think twice before packing your bags. By the way, really quick, if you're new here, my name is Glen Hopkins and I create videos all about Canadian real estate, especially around the Vancouver and Fraser Valley area. So if that is something you're interested in, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. That way you're not going to miss out on any of my upcoming videos. And also, if you would like to chat about buying or selling a home, there is a link in the description box below where you can schedule a call with me. And please know there's never any pressure. There's no obligation. I'm really easy to talk to. And I just really want to be here to help answer any questions that you might have. And also, I'm going to add another link below in the description for my home buyers negotiation playbook, where you can learn all about how to negotiate the best possible price on that next home that you purchase. Okay, so let's start off with the obvious one, and that is the cost of living. Vancouver isn't just expensive, it's shockingly expensive. From housing to groceries to eating out, it feels like everything here costs a small fortune. Housing is the biggest one. The average home price in the greater Vancouver area currently is around $1.25 million. And for a detached home, you're going to be looking at over $2 million. And even for condos, which are supposed to be the more affordable option, they cost an average of $812,000. And for renting, it's not really any better. A one-bedroom apartment is going to run you at least $2,600 a month, and a two-bedroom, it's easily over $3,400 per month. So here's the thing. The reality is you can make a good living here and still feel as though you're barely getting by. The Vancouver tax, as so many people call it, is literally the cost of living in one of the most beautiful cities, but also the most expensive cities in all of Canada. Next up, let's talk about the weather. Now, you've probably heard a lot of people refer to Vancouver as Raincouver. And let me tell you, that is no joke. Vancouver gets about 165 rainy days a year. That's almost half of the year. Sure, the summers here are incredible. They really are. But they're never as long as people would like them to be. And once fall hits, you're looking at months and months of drizzle. Sometimes you get the downpours and you almost always at least, have the gray skies. Now, for some people, that's not a big deal. But if you're someone who thrives on sunshine, it can really wear you down. And seasonal affective disorder, SAD as they call it, is a real thing here. And if you're not prepared, the lack of sunlight can really take its toll on your mood. So that said, now let's talk a little bit about getting around. Vancouver is a beautiful city to drive through, for sure. But the traffic, not so much. Some would even say it is the absolute worst. The problem is that Vancouver's infrastructure, it wasn't designed for the size and population that we now have today. So like the narrow streets, limited freeway access, and constant construction projects, it creates bottlenecks absolutely everywhere. And rush hour, as you can imagine, is terrible. Bridges like the Lionsgate and Ironworkers Memorial, they turn into real choke points. And even at off-peak times, the stop-and-go traffic can drive you nuts. And don't get me started on street parking, because it is a nightmare. Street parking is really hard to find, and when you do find it, it is expensive. And the private lots, they also charge an arm and a leg. I recently went to a game at BC Place, and it cost me $40 just to park. Which brings us to public transit, which is okay. I mean, if you're on the SkyTrain line. The SkyTrain, it's fast and it's reliable for certain routes. But if you're outside of its reach, you're going to be stuck relying on buses. And buses, well, they're often delayed, they're crowded, and they just don't come enough. And for a lot of people, driving is still going to be a necessity. But that just means that you're back into the traffic, and that's a vicious circle that really you just can't escape. By the way, let me know in the comments, what is your biggest worry about moving to Vancouver? And let's be real, Vancouver is gorgeous, it really is, but it's also small. Geographically, Vancouver covers just over 115 square kilometers. That's it. So to give you a comparison, Toronto is nearly 7 times larger. Yet Vancouver's population is packed into this very tiny area with over 662,000 people living in the city proper and more than 2.5 million people living in Metro Vancouver's area. And this city is literally boxed in. You've got the ocean to the west, the mountains to the north, and the suburbs sprawling into the east and the south. So there's nowhere to actually expand. The limited space, it means that every inch of land is at a premium. The parks, the beaches, the hiking trails, yes, they are absolutely stunning, no doubt about it. But they're also really packed. And, if you're imagining these tranquil strolls in nature, think again, because on the weekends, parking lots at the popular spots, things like, Stanley Park and Grouse Grind, they fill up before noon. And the trails, well, they often feel more like crowded sidewalks than peaceful escapes. Now, for some, the buzz of a bustling city with nature at your doorstep, it's worth it. But if you crave solitude and wide open spaces, Vancouver's size and density, it might feel a little suffocating for you, forcing you to look maybe a little bit closer at some of the surrounding areas in the Fraser Valley. Now, this next point is a little bit tougher to talk about, but it is important. And that is that Vancouver has a real problem with homelessness and drug addiction. And it's really visible in areas like the downtown east side. But it is also becoming more common in other neighborhoods as well. And there's really no simple solution. It's a mix of many issues, including high housing costs, limited mental health support, and the opioid crisis. Now, of course, the city is working on harm reduction and supportive housing, but this is a very slow process. And so for newcomers, it's really something to think about. Vancouver is a beautiful city, but like any urban area, it does have its challenges. But here's the thing, the trade-offs, they are real. And for every downside, there is in fact an upside. The high cost of living is, well, it's just the price for access to some of the most incredible natural beauty in the entire world. And the rain, well, it's what keeps the rainforest lush and green all year round. And I've got to say that when I'm walking through the local rainforest here, it always kind of makes me feel like I'm living in the world on the movie Avatar. And Vancouver offers a lifestyle that is really hard to beat. But it's not for everyone. And that brings me to what I think is probably the hardest part about living here. This place, it demands compromises. And if you thrive on mild winters, breathtaking scenery, and endless outdoor adventures, well, Vancouver might be worth every challenge. But if the sky-high cost of living, constant rain, and frustrating traffic is going to push you to your limit, you might start to wonder where exactly in this city might be the right fit for you. And that's why you're not going to want to miss my next video, because I'm going to be sharing the best neighborhoods to live in Vancouver, tailored to every lifestyle, from affordability to family-friendly communities and every hidden gem that most people overlook. You're going to see what's actually possible in this market. So subscribe now and don't miss out on that next video. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, go ahead, click on the link in the description box below to schedule a call with me and we can have a chat.